right, thank you very much. My name is Mike Scott, Superintendent of the Hillsboro School District, and I'd like to welcome you to the Fall 2018 Hillsboro School Summit. We today are going to be talking a lot about summer programming. As we transition back into the 2018-19 school year, it gives us an opportunity to talk a little bit about what our students have been involved with over the summer. And because we're on kind of a schedule with students coming and going, I'm going to invite Dan, who has been leading the mariachi band since its inception in
8 years ago.
8 years ago. Yes, seems like 27. We're going to let him say a few words about how they spent their summer, but before I do that, we oftentimes ask the mariachi band to assist us in welcoming folks to this building, and they are always so gracious to accommodate us. So thank you for getting up early, to our students and to you for the good.
Yeah, they're pretty hungry right now, but definitely thanks to these students. These students are a big inspiration, and that's why we do what we do, of course, and that's why we're here today. And it was at a performance at El Grito in Pioneer Square where Romana Flores, who I'd like to invite to come up now, Romana Flores was walking by Pioneer Square and heard the band and came up and talked to us a little bit about what we were doing. And she has a student, a son, who was enjoying a summer camp, a band camp, and she asked a question like, what happens to some of your students if there's 4, 5, 7 kids in the family, or if it's a low-income family? What do they do during the summer? Do they have opportunities to grow and advance their skills in music? And the options were pretty limited at the time. Also, Romana noticed something in her career at Intel, where she is working right now. And do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Thank you for having me this morning. One of my roles at Intel, that I've been working on for the last 7 years, has been in signing up mobile applications. That's because I'm an artist by trade. And I found these opportunities to work in the STEM career very early on. So I get really excited when I hear students like Mr. Bosshart's that are just starting off and wondering, what can I do with this music, that's this passion of mine. I said, just wait, there are tons of careers.
Yeah, and she shared with us some amazing data about diversity in the high-tech field, and about there's really a need to nurture certain types of students within the high-tech field. Starting with Oregon graduates, there's a lot of high-tech jobs being created, and the pool of potential employees is not as strong as kind of Intel would hope it would be, of Oregon graduates that are qualified to take these jobs. Also, females in the high-tech industry, it's a disproportionate representation. And then the data for Latino students, it's even more shocking, yeah. So this is an opportunity for us to work with many partners to get students on a college campus, to acknowledge their passion for mariachi music. We have music theory, music rehearsals, working with Forest Grove High School mariachi as well. Working with the extension programs of 4-H to help make this a really meaningful program. They learned about sound waves and how we can use sound to gather data from the ocean. Got to go out on the boat and do some hands-on technology projects, working with professors at Oregon State University in their engineering department. One great thing that happened this year is we had a mariachi graduate student from Glencoe High School who's now enrolled in the computer engineering department, who was one of our counselors. So she was able to meet with her friends in the mariachi band and show them around the campus, and it was really an amazing experience. And that's kind of the master plan. You want students to be engaged and involved in their schools, achieve academic success, and go on to really do amazing things, and then reach the hand down to help others come on up. So we had, going a little too fast here, let me go back a bit. A great opportunity, we got to, little button happy. Sorry about that. One of our extension directors is a specialist in drones, working with middle school boys to keep them singing and creative, as well as engaged in the technology, which they love. I got to meet a robot who does, let's see if I can describe this, improvisational comedy. A robot that does improvisational comedy. So I worked with our students to explain how that process works, learned a little bit about theater, put on a great performance before the Corvallis Knights baseball game. And just want to leave this slide up here a little bit, because of course, these students deserve lots of support. So we had great support from the Siegel Foundation, Hillsboro Community Foundation, Hillsboro Schools Foundation, Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, and so on and so on. Just really reaching out a hand to help our students. It's been a successful program. We've done it for 3 years. If you'd like to learn more, feel free to check it out on Facebook. We got a webpage as well. So thanks again for letting us take a few minutes to share about this summer project for our students. I don't know if there's time for questions, but if not, there are some questions. All right. Anyone have a question or comments or thoughts?
Amazing.
It's amazing. Thank you.
Do you hire out your band for events?
Yeah, the group that you saw here, we love playing at community events for libraries, for schools. Funny you should ask, tomorrow we're playing at the Moda Center for the Trailblazers Hispanic Heritage Night.
Wow.
So we'll be there pregame at the Moda Center Plaza. Blazers have been a good friend. Hacienda CDC is the beneficiary of that one. Monday night, we're going to be at the Schnitzer Hall doing a lobby concert before Lila Downs. Lila Downs is an amazing singer. She's in town playing with the Oregon Symphony, so we're getting goosebumps getting ready to hear her. So yeah, our students do get around, but the primary focus is them being successful in school. And I'm glad to see they're out there. It's their first period class already. So thanks again, Ramona Flores, and thank you.
They do hire out, but don't give me thoughts about charging us every time. I really appreciate everything that they do. It's such a great addition to our list of activities and opportunities that our students participate in. It's been excellent. I want to introduce a few people, and then we'll get started by doing a round of introductions. We do have several board members here today. I see Martin Branham out there. I see Kim Strelchin here, and Mark Watson up front here. And we do have, in terms of other elected officials, we've got Representative Solomon here as well. So, all here, and thank you for the countless hours. We're excited to talk about everything that's happened during this past summer and some of the great things that are going on in the district. But before we do that, I'd like to just do a round of introductions. So we don't need your life story. We do need your name and your affiliation with the district. How is it that you're connected to the district? All right. So I already introduced Mark, but we'll start with Mark's name.
Watson, school board member.
There we go.
Hussein Albiati, I'm with the Secretary.
Brian Beatrick, Director of Extracurricular Services.
Melissa from the grad school of Hawaii. Jessica Stark, I work for the City of Hillsboro as a youth development coordinator.
Christy Wilson, City of Hillsboro.
Donna Malecki, community engagement at Intel.
Nicole Frisch, Community Engagement at First Tech Federal Credit Union.
Kim Strelchin, school board.
Erin Carlson, Hillsboro Schools Foundation.
Lisa Osborne, School to Career at the Hillsboro Chamber.
Janine Solomon, former 8-year school board member and current state representative.
April Davis from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Public Affairs Representative in Hillsboro.
Adam Stewart, Capital Projects Officer for the Hillsboro School District.
Brandon Flint with Inline Commercial Construction.
Ramona Toth, Liberty High School Health Science.
Kelly Purdy, Associate Coordinator for Early Learning and Career and College Pathways.
Chris Barber with the Oregon International Airship.
Viviana Gallego, I started my cleaning company. So, and also I'm mother of Joseph and
Teresa Macensi, I'm a student success librarian with the Hillsboro Public Library.
Brian Goldberg, Hillsboro Police.
John DeBergal, Northwest Regional Education Service District, working with CTE teachers.
John Schmerber, Hillsboro Police.
Pete Dabrowski, Hillsboro Police.
Robbie Hammond, City of Hillsboro City Manager's Office.
Shauna Ashley Ingram, Senior at Hillsboro High School.
Down Tobin, Hillsboro Police.
Daniel Ruditor, City of Hillsboro Economic Development Office.
Libertad Díaz, miembro del grupo de PAC.
Juliet Orleans, member of the PAC Parents Group of the Hillsboro District.
Evan Weaver, I work with Washington County on early learning initiatives.
Neonegashi Minor Ed Program TOSA for Hillsboro School District.
Robinson Schools Foundation.
Mona Flores, Intel volunteer.
Maureen Barnhart, Citizen Bond Oversight, I don't know the exact title.
Naomi Brown, the Next Gen program, an alternative program for next steps for graduating seniors.
Martin Bannon, Hillsboro School Board.
Kelly Sayer, parent and substitute.
Good morning, Mark Masterson, locally owned and operated McDonald's.
Well, it's great to have you all here. Some of you, Mark, I haven't seen since he gave us a big check. There's many other great donors in the room, so thanks all for being here and for your affiliation with the district. We do appreciate it. When I go through what our agenda is going to be today, you can see that we've got an aggressive agenda, with the best part always being when we get to hear from the students. So I'm going to start by giving you a bond update, just some of the things that have occurred throughout the summer, and some of the projects that are currently ongoing, and then we will get into more of the student panel and the staff panel. We have some great things to share with you. So, first of all, thanks to the community for passing this bond, a $408 million bond that's going to provide so many opportunities for our students. It is just an incredible thing, the buzz that it has caused in the community. Some of it because of traffic congestion, but most of the buzz is just very positive, and we're just excited about all of those things that we get to do on behalf of our students. So we want to provide an opportunity to give you an update on some of those things. You'll probably remember that when we were going out for the bond last November when it passed, our goal was to accomplish 4 different things. We wanted to modernize our buildings. We wanted to make sure that our buildings were safer and more secure by the time we were finished. We want to make sure that we had a strong and relevant infrastructure that was going to take us forward into the future. And of course, we wanted to build for the future as well. All of those housing developments that we know are coming online in South Hillsboro and North Plains and Cornelia, very important that we're prepared for the students that are going to come along with it. When we look at housing, we don't just see a new house. For every house built out there, we see 0.6 students coming to us. So it's really beautiful if you think of it that way. We just want to prepare for that and make sure that our students have the facilities that we feel like they deserve to get the education that's going to help give them the opportunity that they're going to need when they're done with their time with us. So let me run through some of the projects that we currently have going. You'll see that this last summer we had 37 separate projects that were going. Total budget of $31 million of work that has occurred this past summer. And the amazing thing is that is a drop in the bucket compared to this next summer and the ramp up that we're preparing for right now. Now, be sure that not all of the work that occurs during the summer, that's just too narrow of time, so there's a lot of work that occurs in between that. But these slides are to help you just get an idea for some of the projects that occurred. We had the opportunity to take our bond oversight committee on a number of field trips throughout the summer, and we'll continue to do that. And it was just amazing to see the transformation that was taking place in such a short period of time. One of our most ambitious jobs this summer was the rebuild of Reedville Elementary School. Our Reedville Elementary, the current Reedville Elementary was built in 1938. So if you think of the way buildings were built in 1938, you would think that maybe there's some renovations that would be necessary over all this time. It's one of those buildings that we have continued to invest in because it really is the heart of the rebuild. It is a building that people identify with, and it's got so much charm to it, and the property there is a great fit for the community that it serves. You can see a couple of things that we did is we put in a new modular building. Our goal is not to put in portables anymore, because portables really aren't portable. The cost to put them in and to move them around, it's just cost prohibitive to a large degree. So we're replacing when our portables are outdated and it's time to improve those. We put in modular buildings, and we've got a beautiful new modular building over there. We are fortunate that we were able to expand the scope of that project. When you're doing bond work, you go out and get estimates and you make the best projections regarding the work that's going to be necessary when you go into a building. When you actually engage in the work, it is almost always the case that there's going to be additional scope that needs to be considered. You tear into a wall or you go into a project and you say, oh, you probably need to take care of this as well. Well, that happened several times at Reedville Elementary. But it did give us the opportunity to give these students a building that is much more modern than when we started. So you can see the improvements there. We are in the process of wrapping up the cafeteria and the kitchen. The building's in place, but in terms of a functional kitchen and cafeteria space, that is coming soon. Almost done with that. So you can see the before and during, and here's the after, or close to after. There's still a little bit more to come on that. Just an incredible transformation that's taking place there. It's fun to see how excited the staff and students are about the changes that have occurred. Flexible classroom furniture. Interesting thing about furniture, you wouldn't think that that would be such a big deal until you see the students walk into a classroom that has the new furniture. The other thing that it does is that if you think about how we gather furniture in a school district, basically when a school is built, you have the funds to outfit it with all the new furniture of that time. Well, if a school was built in 1974, there's a good chance that a lot of the furniture that's in those buildings is going to be from 1974. So to have an opportunity to, and I'm not saying I don't miss the avocado green and the orange, but in addition to that, it's not just the aesthetics of it. It really is, we have different student needs than we had then. And we have larger classes because of the way that state funding is in the state of Oregon and the manner in which K-12 is funded. We just have larger classes than we used to have. So to be able to have furniture that's flexible and allows our students to group and regroup based on the needs of whatever is happening during the lesson has just been excellent for us. All right, we've turf and lights. This is a very popular topic in the community. If you I think the people that have been most excited about this, it seems to be, are the band students. Evidently, setting cones in a parking lot and practicing at 9 o'clock at night in the dark or with headlights to light your way is not ideal for band practice. So it has been awesome for us to be able to have the opportunity to put in turf and lights at a couple of our different schools. Both Hill High and Glencoe have received new synthetic turf and lights, and it's already being used in heavy rotation. We've had a couple of ribbon cutting ceremonies, and gone are the days where just one quick story. It used to be that band students would reserve a space in the parking lot for after school practice. Now, sometimes not everybody got the memo that our cars need to be out of there. So a couple of very enterprising band students and maybe one enterprising band teacher thought it would be great to get a pallet and put it under a car and jack it up with a pallet jack and just push it out of the way. Turns out the owner of that car wasn't as excited about the idea as they were. So since we put in turf and lights, there have been no pallet jack incidents. And we are just able to meet the needs of our students in a much more comprehensive way. Very excited about that. All right, parent bus drop-offs. So depending on the school that your child attends or that you live near, you will know that this is an issue for us. As schools have grown in capacity and we have grown in enrollment, it has become necessary for us to address this. I always think this is one of those issues that, it's kind of like buying new cars for new tires for your car. It's not the most exciting thing you can do, but it's so necessary in order for things to function well. So we've done a number of improvements at the schools listed here, and we're almost got those wrapped up. There's some landscaping to do and some lighting that still needs to be wrapped up within those projects, but we're getting closer. A number of playground upgrades. Okay, now the first day of school, folks from the communications department were out and they were taking pictures. I think some of the best pictures that I've seen in the last several years come from kids experiencing the new playground equipment. They were loving that. So you can see that we've had a number of playgrounds completed and more to come on that. You heard me mention the new modular classrooms, and you can see schools that will be receiving those. We moved some temporary building. We moved a portable temporarily to North Plains until we build a new school out there. Just as a reminder that the new schools that we will be building with this bond, there'll be one that's going to be in North Plains. There'll be one initially that's in South Hillsboro. there'll be a replacement elementary school at Lakewood Elementary, and there'll be major expansion at Glencoe High School and Evergreen Middle School, as well as renovations that take place in a variety of different, major renovation also at Hill High, and every school will be touched in this process throughout the process. Some of the other summer work that was done, cameras and GPS on buses, so we are, being a bus, hey, we've got bus driver openings. Being a bus driver is a challenging job, but a very rewarding one. So if you're interested, just see me after the meeting. But we were able to put GPS and expand the camera systems that we have on our school buses. And when it comes to student safety, this is just one of those things that we continue to work on. And it's, again, maybe not the most exciting project, but when it comes to student safety, we need to make sure we're doing that. Roofing projects, we've got several of those underway. More to come on those as well. An especially exciting project to replace the boiler at Brown. I know you're all pretty excited about it. You're probably wondering, when's that going to happen? Well, there you go. It's been done. Tech enhanced classroom. A couple years back, we went around and we wanted to set a standard for what does technology look like in any classroom, because prior to a standard being set, it was really dependent on the resources that the principal could gather, the knowledge level of a principal regarding technology, and so we wanted a classroom standard so that all of our students would have the same accessibility to technology in each of the classrooms. So you can see we made some good headway on that, with about a third of our classrooms being done. Technology infrastructure, again, this is, I love saying dark fiber ring. Not exactly sure what that means, but I love to say it when I'm in public. And honestly, this is a project that we have been able to partner with the city of Hillsboro on that is allowing both of us to save a lot of money, and the synergy that's taking place with that partnership allows us to get connectivity out to students, out to each of our schools in a redundant way, so that we're prepared for that. So an exciting partnership for sure. And we've also been able to deploy a lot of just technology to our students to be utilized throughout the day. Students and selected staff members. Some other projects I mentioned before, when you're putting a bond together, you're not able to capture the entire comprehensive list of things that you're going to do, because things are going to come up along the way. These are some of the things that have been necessary for us to invest in. It wasn't part of the original bond, but we've been able to accomplish it as we've gone through and done the work at the schools that we're already impacting anyway. So you can see that some of the list there. You've probably seen in the paper, one of the notes here is the Glencoe High School. You saw that our partnership with the Hops has been very productive. They contributed $300,000 so we could expand the scope of work at the Glencoe field there and put in a youth softball field as well. So that's an exciting partnership. Some other things that were not originally on the bond list, but we were able to accomplish this summer. And again, these aren't huge things unless you're the school that's receiving it and getting the impact. I mentioned before that the bond work that we've done this last summer is really a drop in the bucket compared to the bond work that's coming. So you can see these 2019 projects. So some of these projects, just because they say 2019 on them, doesn't mean they're going to be completed during that time. So Brooklyn won't be done, just so you know. There's a number of things up here that are going to be starting during this time and are going to be carrying forward, but you can see that over $200 million in bond projects will be initiated in 2019. So excited about that. All right. One of the things that we're very fortunate on, when you go to sell bonds, we were fortunate that we received $51.6 million additional dollars in a bond sale than we were initially planning on. And part of that is just market driven and the timing of all that. The great thing about, and if you put that together with the Oregon grant, a grant from the state of Oregon that we received for bond type work, for facility work, there was an additional $6 million there. And we know that on the sale of these bonds, we're going to generate another $10 million in interest. all of that is just going to go straight to the needs of our students. And so our timing was really good on that. And it's good that it was, because there's a number of challenges that have taken place. The amount of construction that is going on in the Portland metro area is absolutely staggering, to the point where contractors, well, how to put it, they don't have to sharpen their pencil quite as much when it comes to the bids, and that's because that work is out there. And there's such competition for that work and for labor that labor is costing them more. So that, of course, is going to be passed on to the customer. So you can see with more than $2 billion in work that's being done out there, that's going to drive the market in a certain direction. So those additional dollars that we were able to get from the sale of our bond, really important for us, so that we can make sure that we can complete every one of those projects that we promised the community that we would do. All right, any questions on the bond that you're dying to know about, either past work that has been done or work that's coming at us? Questions I can answer for anybody? Or if I can, Adam Stewart's here and he can. Yeah.
Is any of the work being done by any of our trade programs in the school district, like painting or landscaping or anything like that by our own students?
We have not done that yet. We have some of our own staff that are doing something. Yeah, we've got some staff that are engaged in that. We have not had our students do it yet. There was such a, especially with this initial round of work, there was such a push to make sure that we had projects staged and ready to go for the summer. Engaging students in that wasn't in the cards this last summer. Now, moving forward, there is, for example, the Hillsboro Schools Foundation, Aaron's around here somewhere. All right. The Hillsboro Schools Foundation, they did some work over at Pointer, and the students will be working to complete some of that work. So there's going to be opportunity along the way. I think you're going to hear later about a construction, some construction courses that are taking place at Glencoe, and the idea that they will be able to engage in a fuller way in that down the road is going to be able to happen, but it didn't happen this past summer. Janine?
If the community, how do you communicate to the broader community about where bond projects are and where can you go for information?
There we go. So, where's Jane here? There's Jane. Jane, I'm going to give Jane a chance to talk to, but I'm going to talk for 10 seconds so she has time to think. So we were fortunate with, we were able to hire someone, to hire a position that's able to do the communication on that. And Jane will tell us a little bit about where you can access that on our website and some of the, and Jane, would you also work in some of the regular avenues for communication that you're currently engaged in?
So we have set up the bond website, hillsboro-bond.org. And this past summer was kind of crazy, but I put regular updates on that site as well. This bond construction timeline, which gives you a summary of all the projects that are coming up, is on that website. Eventually I'm going to beef it up with more narratives about the projects and impacts on students, teachers. I just did an interview with inline construction, so I'm getting builders' perspectives on the different projects. But my summer was basically spent on the website. But we're also reaching out as much as we can to the media. We do Facebook posts, Twitter posts, so social media. In the upcoming newsletter, there will be a big summary on the 2018 projects, as well as the upcoming 2019 projects. So every medium that we have available to us in regular communications, I'm hijacking for bond stuff too.
And a fun fact about Jane, she is now a certified drone operator. Get some fancy footage for it, so that's good. Other bond questions? Yeah.
Are you getting any feedback about like the furniture, for example, as we go forward as another several $1 million worth of furniture we're investing and how effective that is, or what the real feedback is from parents, students, and teachers?
Yeah, so one of the things that we recently engaged in about 2 weeks ago was our first lessons learned meeting from the summer projects, because you're right, as we move forward, some of these things we're going to replicate, some of these things we don't want to replicate. So we engaged in our first meeting of that, and we involved the contractors, we involved the principals as well. And so that's been great feedback for us. Whether it be the furniture, or whether it be the aggressiveness of the schedule that we put together, or moving people in and out of the classroom and how that works, definitely getting feedback on all that, and that will inform our decision making as we move forward. Already started. All right, one of our goals for the school summits that we do in the fall, we want to recognize some of our community partners, and we want to give them, basically want to thank them and give them an award. And so I'm going to turn this over to Adam Stewart, who is overseeing all of our lobby work right now. He used to be our CFO, and he is one of those guys that has been it's been the perfect transition for us. Adam has had a lot of experience in smaller districts before he came to us 10, 12 years ago. And during that time, he oversaw a lot of construction work just in his past jobs. And he's overseen facilities and construction when he was the CFO. Now he is full-time. Let's get this $408 million bond up and running. And he's just been so valuable to us as we've geared up for this and are in process. So he's going to talk about one of our partners.
Good morning. As Mike mentioned, one of our biggest projects, our biggest project this summer was Reedville Elementary School. And we brought on a contractor very early on in that process in line with commercial construction. It was an interesting process. We interviewed several contractors for this position. Inline came in, and the first thing they did in their interview was the owner of the company brought in his 4th grade report card from Reedville Elementary School and said, I want this project. This project means everything to me. They were, and all throughout this process, they have gone above and beyond. It was a very challenging process, as Mike has mentioned. Lots of moving parts, lots of new things that came up throughout the construction. And Brandon Flint, come on up, Brandon, and his team, Justin Dawson, the superintendent of the project, have just been there all throughout. In fact, Justin was supposed to be here this morning, but he's at Reedville right now. Working. So, Brandon, on behalf of the school district, I want to thank you for all the work that's done. Just back to Justin. And nice certificate here. Oh, thank you guys so much. So, thank you.
Can you just allow Omar to take a quick picture, please? Thank you. Sorry.
Here. Got it.
I love the story about the owner and his 4th grade report card. Of course, I accused him of having a briefcase full of 4th grade report cards. Whatever school he was visiting, I was just able to. But we actually checked and it's true. So, great stories. We appreciate all of the work that great stories. Our next portion here is we have staff and students that gathered to answer to do a little presentation and to engage in a panel discussion. Before we do that though, I'd like to thank our communications team who put this little wing thing together today. So if you're in communications, or Brooke who's half communications and half something else, if you could just raise your hand, we would like to thank you for all. All right, with that, I will turn it over to Beth.
Thank you very much. So I am Beth Grazer. I'm the Chief Communications Officer here at the district, and it's my pleasure to moderate this fabulous panel that's before you. So to get us started, if each of you can just let us know your name, where you work, what you do, and then your experience and involvement with summer programming for students. And if you just push your little thing once, your mic will work.
Hello, can you hear me?
Or we can pass this. Maybe we'll just pass this.
Let's go with this. Hello and good morning. My name is Roger Fink, and I'm an administrator at Liberty High School. I'm honored to be here this morning to share with you briefly the fantastic opportunity that we offered for 8.5 students. And what is that, you ask? Okay, that is students who are transitioning from Pointer Middle School to Liberty, and we were able to create some neat leadership opportunities for them, career and college development challenges, and some neat work. And in the end, after the 2 weeks, in those last 2 weeks of July, these students wearing Liberty t-shirts were excited to start their freshman year. And though it was just 50 students, those 50 students were then already leaders and already bought in and excited about their high school upcoming 4 years. So a fantastic opportunity, and I want to appreciate Hillsboro School District for supporting that, and then of course our partnership with Intel for providing some funding, and just a great partnership, so thank you.
Hi there. Oh, is that too loud? Okay. I'm Tasha Robinson. I'm a senior at Glencoe High School, and I'm pretty involved in my school and community, but primarily I'm here as co-chair of the Hillsboro Youth Advisory Council, where I spent most of my summer helping out with the Sustainable Shopping Initiative.
I want to say there's an overview of all the programs in your packet. It looks like this. So I'm Eduardo Silva, and I'm a sophomore from Hillsboro High School, and I've been going to summer camps, for example, Mariachi Skin Camp and Omni.
Hello, I'm Roxanne Wong. I'm a sophomore at Glencoe High School, and I've been part of Adelante Chica's STEM program for around 7 years. So. Hi, my name is Lyric, and I'm a 12th grader at Liberty High School, and I got to put on a health science summer camp for middle school kids to inform them about the health science career pathways that they could go into, and yeah.
Hi, my name is Kara. I also did the health sciences summer camp, and to kind of expand on that, we would take middle schoolers or incoming freshmen, and we would expose them to health careers around the community, give them field trips, do that with them, and stuff like that.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn Cisneros Gallegos. I'm a senior at Century High School. I was involved with the Migrants Summer School program, and I was volunteering there. I did only, and I have done a few other projects.
Good morning, my name is Max Herman. I'm with Hillsboro Police. I'm an SRO with Hillsboro Police. I have the privilege of taking care of Evergreen Middle School, McKinney Elementary, well, I used to take care of Newberry, now it's Dallas, Jackson Elementary, and Miller Ed. And I had a great privilege this summer, you guys, working with kids and connecting with them during summer camps, and it was absolutely fantastic. So working with HSD, Hillsboro Police, all the police officers here in the room were involved, and it was fantastic.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Joshua Barajas. I'm a senior at Hillsboro High School, I think. I had the opportunity to help out at the CTE Innovation Camp at Hillsboro High School the past 2 summers.
Good morning, my name is Enoch Dankos. I am also a senior at Hillsboro High School, and like Josh, I was involved in the CTE Innovation Camp, where we help students, mostly middle schoolers and high schoolers, to find their passion in any career they want, such as business, health, engineering, arts, design. We helped them out, and it was really fun.
Excellent, thank you so much. I heard a couple of acronyms that not everyone in the room may be familiar with. We had SRO, School Resource Officer, CTE, Career Technical Education, OMLE, Oregon Migrant Leadership Institute. Is there anything else that was confusing? And like they said, in your packets is a sheet that explains these various programs. Not necessarily all the acronyms, but just hold up your hand if you don't understand something. We'll let you know. So, I am going to not ask everybody to ask every question, but I will pose a question. If you have something you would like to add, I will go talk show style and give you the mic, or those four down there can probably share the mic that's down there. So, first question is, what do you want our community to know about summer programs offered in the Hillsboro School District? How could they support as an industry partner or community partner to support staff and or students? Does anybody want to start with an answer to that?
I will.
Perfect.
It's a great opportunity to connect with our kids here in our community and in our schools. And during the camps this summer that I personally was involved in, we had that opportunity. And the kids got to see just more than inside school walls. They got to see our community, they got to see people that cared about them personally, and they got to be involved in, what we did was making t-shirts. And they actually got to take something tangible home with them that they will remember from their summer camp experience. And so, if anything, it's just a great way to connect with these kids and show them that we care.
Great. Next. Let's hear a little bit about the Oregon Migrant Leadership Institute. You want to tell us something about that, Eduardo?
So, OMLE is a program that's offered for like around, not just the Hillsboro School District, but many other districts around Oregon. And there's a summer camp, well there's 4 weekends. I went to the 3rd week. It's offered at OSU, and we're learning about like architecture or like agriculture. Like I actually liked it, my experience was there. I got to meet lots of mentors and other students all around Oregon, not Hillsboro. Anyways.
Great. How about the Health Science Summer Camp? I know there were pictures that some kids were sitting on the wing of an airplane, so I think there's a lot more to this camp than people might initially think. So why don't you ladies tell us about that?
So what was cool about our camp is all of our field trips were pretty much free. Everything that came with the camp was free because our teacher, Mrs. Toth, she got Teacher of the Year award for Oregon and Southwest Washington. And with that came a $5,000 donation from Kaiser. So all the kids got to go on these really cool trips, like, for example, Premier Jets, where that's where you got to see the kids sitting on top of the fighter jets and got to learn about what they do, health services wise. And then also, what else?
Do some dissections?
We taught them suturing, and then also at the Premier Jets place, they got to see like a lung that was breathing, and they got to learn how to do CPR and the other like intubation. So yeah, I'll let Karen say something.
Also, just kind of more on just about the camp in general. Our camp was entirely student-led. Lyric and I and 2 other students took almost a quarter of our school year to plan the trip, and the only thing we designed these t-shirts and everything, and so we had a new experience as not only camp leaders, but also putting together all of the intricacies of the camp. And also, another interesting thing is none of the kids had to pay for the camp. It was entirely free, and all they had to do is fill out an application.
Do I have a volunteer next to talk about their program, or would you like me to call on you? Okay, that's excellent. I'll go, you knock in, and we'll do Roxy next.
So I was part of the CTE camp, and like I mentioned, it's so kids can find their passion. One thing about it is that it was bilingual, because we wanted to focus more on the Latino students in our community, because we noticed that they are not as involved in many programs such as engineering, business, and Latinos here in Hillsboro are the future of Hillsboro. So that's why we want to promote more Latino involvement. And also, like the health science program, our program was student-led. We had students that have like different background knowledge come and be interns for this program.
So we had a lot of different kids from a lot of different backgrounds coming to our program, and it was really interesting to get them to. It was really interesting to see them come together and work together to create a bigger project. It was very different. So we've only done this program for 2 years, and the first program was really based around technology. So we taught them like drafting and 3D printing, yeah, and coding. So it was really interesting. But this year was more gauged toward a broader knowledge. So we did business, like Enoch said, and our childhood education, and it was yeah. So it's really cool to see them come together.
Excellent, thank you so much.
So, like I said before, I've been part of Chicas for now around 7 years, and I first started in the STEM program, which takes place in the summer for 3 weeks. The program is basically bringing in girls from elementary school all the way from high school to learn more about STEM careers, especially since women aren't seen in STEM careers. It's even harder to find Latinas that are in the careers. So we try to bring in as much presenters so the girls could see what possible careers they could have. It's actually really beautiful seeing the little girls first come in, not knowing what they want to be when they grow up, and then with one presenter, they're like, I'm gonna be this. And then by the end of the week, they're arguing which career is better, the reasons why. So it's quite a beautiful thing. We also get a field trip end of the week, depending on the theme of every year. It's a very fun program, especially since most of the girls, we come from a very low-income community, and the program being free and everything being provided for us, it's kind of a relief since most programs require certain things. It feels quite like a safe space, especially since it's a bilingual program. Most of the students may not speak the language they don't speak English, they might just speak Spanish. So it's just people come from different places with different knowledges, and we just get together, and it's really good.
Thank you so much. So it's Jocelyn or Tasha. Who would like to go first? Jocelyn, do you want to?
Well, you guys know is it working? Yeah, okay. I was a volunteer at the summer migrant school. Yeah, the summer migrant school. And I really got to get involved and learn how like little kids learn, and I was like, I think I could do this maybe as a living. And I realized how close I was to them, and like how they really looked up to us as older students and how much they cared. And I remember like there was this one little boy that like, I'm not gonna get too much into, like he wouldn't want me to leave, and he would like start crying because he was like, no, I don't want you to leave, you can come to my house. Yeah, because I would get him to learn so much, and I don't know, I remember that, and it's always stayed with me. And I guess it like really made me a very mature person, and realized that I'm not only the future, but all these little kids are soon gonna be me. Like not me, but like in my place. And I would really like helping them out.
Wonderful. All right, Tasha.
promise I'm not avoiding the microphone. So over summer, I spent not most of my time, but most of my outside of home time working on the Hillsboro Sustainable Shopping Initiative with some other members of the Youth Advisory Council. You can see Representative Smallman having a little party over there. But if you haven't already heard about the Sustainable Shopping Initiative, it's looking to reduce the usage of single-use plastic at Hillsboro retailers and promote sustainability specifically in using reusable bags. But more broadly, as the Sustainable Shopping Initiative is a subcommittee of the Hillsboro Youth Advisory Council, led by our wonderful Christy and Jessica up at the front, it works to promote equity, education, and awareness of the environment. And so on the Youth Advisory Council, we have around 30 students, all from the Hillsboro School District. We have freshmen through seniors, and it provides great opportunities to become more involved in your community and in local government. And it's a great way to be able to learn more about things that you may not have known about. I live in North Plains, but I attend Glencoe, so I'm in the Hillsboro School District. And prior to probably my freshman year, I had no idea that North Plains even had a city council, mostly because you don't hear much about it. And so being able to be exposed to these local government opportunities and being able to work so in detail on policy like the Sustainable Shopping Initiative has given me an amazing opportunity to learn and discover new things about stuff that's so close by to us, but we may not know a lot about.
Wow. Well said. Thank you so much, Tasha. So this next question I would like to ask you is, how can our community, or how can we help remove any barriers that may exist in our system or in our community to increase the amount and access to programming for students in order to raise our graduation rates? Does anybody have some thoughts they'd like to share about that?
So, what I think is that we should offer mentoring and tutors to any students of any race or any age. It doesn't matter like what background they are, but as long as they take the first step and they say, I need your help. I think that we should like offer our students our help.
Somebody right next to you.
I really believe in safe spaces for students, especially since everybody tends to stray away from being vulnerable. And for a person to put themselves out there that they need help, that they need like help for resources, it's really necessary, because otherwise they don't feel safe enough to do so.
I also think it's very important to have business partners. Like Kaiser helped us and gave us the opportunity to take kids on field trips that we probably wouldn't have been able to pay for if it hadn't been for their grant. And also we do, like our class, junior, senior class, they do volunteering at Kaiser, and they have people come in and talk to our class and really get the word out about it. So I think it's very important to have business partners.
I really think that, I guess the one-on-one like teacher-student is like, some of the students like get intimidated by their teachers. Not that they're bad people or anything, it's just that they can be very like, they don't know how to talk to them, like kind of like me right now. But what I'm trying to put out there is that there's some students that don't, like they know I need this help, but I don't know how to get it. And teachers say, oh yeah, you just come up to me, and like there's some students that can't do that because they get intimidated deeply. And I think that if the teachers walked up to them and they're like, hey, what's wrong? Do you need help on this? Are you understanding it? Like, it would be a little bit better. And I don't know, that's just my point of view.
That's what we're asking for.
I think I'd like to mirror what these young ladies were already talking about, and the having community involvement I think is really great. I think our people in Hillsboro, our business owners partnering with us to expose our kids to marvelous things that normally they would never have that opportunity to do is fantastic. And I can only say that because from my experience over the summer. And what I got to see with some of these kids, especially some of the younger kids too, where they had we shot rockets off in the air for a few days. It was a rocket camp, first time we've ever done it. And it was fantastic. And some of these kids they never put together anything like this. They've never seen anything fly that high in the air before. And it was really great. And we had the opportunity to build relationships with them. It was due to the fact that, and the opportunities that business owners and members of our community were here to put their time and invest their energy into our kids. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we can do so that they know that people out there care about them and love them.
One thing that I think can remove the barriers from our students is parent involvement. I know that the Hillsboro School District has tried that before, but parents are a really important part for students. They look up to their parents, and if they see that their parents are also getting involved in schools, then students will follow and get involved in schools. But another thing the school district needs to understand is sometimes parents have really rough schedules. For example, my parents don't get home from work till really late, they're really tired, and they can't attend these meetings in the evenings. Sometimes they work even more on those days of the meetings. And I remember too, I was also involved in band. My parents couldn't even make it to my concerts because they were working. And it's just trying to talk to parents individually and set up a time where a lot of parents can meet up and talk about their kids' future.
Okay, this will probably build off of a couple of other points already said, but I think student counselor trust is probably one of the biggest ways that you can help students out throughout their high school and even before that, their career and education. And a lot of times students aren't able to speak with their counselor maybe because they're very busy or because they don't even know that they have to make an appointment to do so. I know, especially at Glencoe, an issue that I've seen in a couple of my friends is that they have some kind of issue that they need to talk to a counselor about, but they don't know what the school's policy is on confidentiality, and they don't know to what extent they can actually talk to their counselor about these problems. And so just having general awareness in the student body of the services that the school can provide them and to what extent they can be provided. And just a general awareness in students of what's available to them in their schools and outside of their schools, because a lot of them may have the solution right in front of them, but they just don't really know that it's there.
So this is an important question regarding removing barriers for student success. So think about, if you will, when you were in 8th grade and you were preparing that spring for attending high school the next year, whether it was Hill High, Century, Glencoe, or Liberty. Think about maybe the feelings of nervousness, also excitement, but maybe also anxiety. So think about that, you fitting in and wearing the clothes or maybe making the team, getting the grades. How are you going to be presented or reflected on social media, and all these worries maybe. And so what's fantastic is the opportunity for 8.5 at each of the 4 high schools. And again, those students in spring with their parents at the different middle schools, and the excitement that parents are like, wait, my kid wants to go to a summer school thing? and it was great to see, and I appreciate the comments here about parent support, that parents wanted their child to be a participant in this opportunity. And even further than that, students wanting to be engaged and to give up a few weeks of their summer. So that was fantastic. And in fact, at each of the schools, we were allowed 50 to 60 kids, and the request for participation went beyond that. So the opportunity for more engagement and more opportunity is there, and that's a great thing to see. So the 50 students that I can speak on behalf of, those students, not only did they learn and grow, and we had breakfast together and we laughed together and learned, had lunch, but the focus was more than just learning, but it was teamwork. And those students still today, I can see hanging out together during lunch in the hallway. So there's a neat sense of community and again, support to help remove barriers. So a fantastic opportunity.
Excellent. So I am going to kind of combine my last three questions so you can pick if there's something that you would particularly like to mention. So first is, what would you like to see in future summer programming opportunities for students? What was the highlight of your summer program experience? And/or any final thoughts that you'd like to share about summer opportunities for students and/or just opportunities in general?
So I just want to talk about the highlight of the summer experience for me. I thought it was really cool to be able to share that passion that we have for health science careers for younger generations, because I know it was really tough for me in middle school to try to think about what I was going to do 4 or 5 years from now. So it was really cool to be able to educate kids on what they can end up doing for the rest of their life. And also like the trial and error aspect. So even though we took all that time to plan, we thought we had everything down to a T, and there was still things that came up. So it was really cool to be able to learn how to problem solve in the moment. And then also just being able to learn alongside the kids. We didn't know everything, of course, so the field trips were really fun for us as well.
And just to kind of expand on that, like, I know what I'm hoping to go to college for next year. I learned about it just my junior year by going to a field trip, and so to be able to kind of give that same experience to the kids at a younger age so they have longer to think about it. And then also just the camp to my senior year to kind of help me. This was my senior project, and so to have that done was very, very nice. And also it's helped me a lot with my leadership skills and to know that I can rely on myself to take care of kids and plan something this big and stuff like that.
Well, I guess you guys have done a lot, and there's a lot more to be done. I guess for the summer programs, I feel like we need a little bit more connections with careers and organizations on what's out there for younger kids and middle schoolers and high schoolers, because we need a lot more information on what careers are available for us and what we can do to get there. So.
I had my highlight this summer was doing all the camps that I had the privilege of being involved in, and it was fantastic. From lighting the rockets off in the air, more of a STEM-focused, science-focused camp, to Youth Connect, where we got to partner with awesome people in our community, where our kids made shirts, and we got to hear phenomenal stories of from growing up and moving here and accomplishment and all this fun stuff. To our great camp, and it was awesome. I got to spend time with kids that I'd never met before, that had never met me before, that got to know me outside of wearing this, and they got to see me as a person, and that helped them become more comfortable with me. And we spent time with their families, and it was a great opportunity for them to see that, hey, we're human beings, we're just like you, that we care about you, we want you to succeed, we want you to do well, we want you to graduate. And so I can't necessarily pick one highlight that was the best for me. It was just the whole summer was a phenomenal experience. And this was my first year being involved in our summer camps as a police officer and with HSD, as this was last year was my first year as a school resource officer, but it was absolutely fantastic. And the one thing, the credit that I can say to that as well, quickly, was that the kids, they go to various schools, so they don't just go to the schools that I'm involved in or that I take care of, they're all over Hillsboro. So if I have the opportunity to go to another school and I'll have kids that run up to me and they're, Mr. Mox or Officer Mox, what's up? And I'm like, wow, what's up? I haven't seen you all summer. You know, and it's great because they feel comfortable to run up to me and they see me beyond this because they know me now, right? And it was great. So I guess it was my privilege and I really appreciated it. So thank you.
In the future, I would love to see the programs we have to be doing even more. Because I remember I would go up to kids and be like, oh, you want to join the CCE camp? And be like, what's that? And I'd explain to them and be like, okay, I don't want to go. But then I'd love it to be like, hey, you want to join CCE camp? And be like, no, I heard about it, but I don't want to go. So I feel like a lot of the programs we have, kids just don't know about them. And that's why there's like a lot of kids are just at home in the summer bored, where they could be somewhere else, maybe a little less bored. And so I don't know, I feel like we should promote our programs a little bit more and it'd be just help all of that.
So one of my highlights for one of my summer program experience is I got to see a lot of students find their passion. So that way, once they're in high school and our seniors, they don't say, oh, what am I going to do now? They know what they want to study, they know how to get there. And it's helped me a lot in high school. I'm the type of person that closes myself in. I don't like talking to people, but here I am talking to all of you guys. So I had to talk to a lot of kids, I had to help them out. And I still remember a kid coming up to me and telling me, I want to be like you when I grow up. And that, like, it's like such a nice feeling to have these students say that. And it's what inspired me and other students to start the only Latino robotics team in the state of Oregon. And from there, after 1 year, there's now a junior team that follows our footsteps in middle school, and they are the only middle school Latino team in the state of Oregon as well.
Woo!
Some of the highlights from the summer program experience was, it was mostly the learning opportunities. Like I said before, we did learn a lot about different STEM careers, but we also got to work on a lot of projects as well. And it was something that we could all appreciate, like the first day we made ice cream, so that was very fun. But also, it was a safe space, as in if English isn't your first language, we would all support you and help you out. If you're stuck in your wording, like sometimes I am, we'll help you out. It was a very safe place, and mostly for the high school students, not all of us will have chicas during the school year, so it was a great way to kind of ease ourselves into not having the program for the school year, but then getting ready for the summer, we'll be in the program again.
So I'm also part of the robotics team with Enon. So one thing that I like our community to do is have more summer programs. Like, since you know how there's lots of programs for sports. Like last time I heard, oh yeah, we went to like Western University for football. So like, oh, like why some other people saying, oh, I went to this in college to study more about business or engineering. Yeah. Like I think that will sound better than oh yeah, like I had a cheerleading camp at OSU instead of hey, I had a nice STEM camp at OSU. I think that would be a lot better for our community. And also make it more diverse, because like of course I go to camps, there's lots of Hispanics there. But like once I went to this one Indian meeting, and I was the only Hispanic there, and I felt like, what's going on? Oh yeah.
So I think there's a couple of things that I'd like to see in future years pertaining to our summer programs. And I think one of them would be promotion of these programs in the classroom and not just something that's maybe a link on the website or something you see on a poster, but having teachers actually speaking to their students about things that might pertain to them. So I'm also involved on the speech and debate team at our high school, and a couple of years ago, our speech and debate class had gotten cut from the curriculum, and so we suffered a huge loss in membership because we didn't have that way for students to get into the speech and debate program. They barely knew it existed. And so even if we can't get something like the class back, being able to have that promotion of these opportunities in the classroom, because teachers know their students really well and they know how the students would like to spend their summers probably a lot better than maybe like admin would, because they aren't engaging with these students on a daily basis, and students don't often know that they can go on the website to look for these programs. So having teachers actually speaking to their students about these opportunities and just having that general promotion of these.
That's great.
I don't think it's any surprise to us that Tasha's on the speech and debate team. I think Susan's probably crying a tear of joy over there. Longtime speech and debate teacher at Glencoe High School. So if you may have noticed, we've had a couple additions to our panel, and to introduce them, I would first like to introduce teacher Lisa Stockbridge to tell us a little bit about the program that they're representing.
Thank you. Today I am lucky enough to bring Wesley and Eden Sagner here. Our Student Services puts on our extended school year program each summer. We run 3 weeks of extended school year for our students that need a little additional help maintaining skills that they may have lost throughout the summer without our program. So we serve 100 kids in our base program and then an additional 30 to 40 kids in tutoring for those 3 weeks. And Wesley and Eden have gone to summer school since I can remember and would like to share a little bit about that.
Hi, I'm Eden, and I go to summer school every single year, and I really like summer school because I like getting support from teachers, because every single time I go and I need help, like something that's actually really hard above my curriculum, a teacher can help me always out, and I like seeing some old friends from there since I get to see them. And I also like to get to know teachers, so I know what they're gonna have for me. And I also like how the teachers are really nice to me, because me and Wesley both have autism, so we have emotional autism, so it's pretty hard for us to be living. We just think differently than other normal people. And I like how they use the elementary schools, because we don't get really to play that often. So, yeah.
Hello, I'm Wesley Edward Sagner, and I like trains.
Alright.
And I go to Evergreen Middle School, and I work for the Junior Robotics Club. Go Evergreen! I've been going to summer school ever since I remember. And some things I like about summer school are I get to learn more, because frankly, everyone knows how it is. Kids during the summer, they tend to lose that knowledge they get at school, and they usually think having no school is fun, but after a while, they just get bored. And simply because, well, they're kids. Some kids don't want to learn, some kids do want to learn, and they just want to do something. That's what we all know is all kids want to do something. They don't want to sit around and do nothing. Unless sleeping counts. Anyway, I also I like going to school so I have something to do instead of just sitting around at home. I mean, what would you do if you had nothing to do but sit at home? You'll probably go back to bed or read a book or something.
Or play your iPad.
Okay. Anyways, I also like to see old friends, new friends, and even some new friends that my old friends made. And I also like summer school because it's an ability to refresh your memory. Peace.
Everybody could see it because I was kind of blocking the way, but Wesley did a mic drop there. That was impressive. So please join me in thanking this amazing panel. I think they did a wonderful job. That was fantastic. So before we move into having you do some table discussions, if anybody did not receive a packet, they are over there on the table. Just raise your hand, we'll bring you one. You're going to do that in just a second. But first, we would like to recognize some community partners that helped put on these amazing summer programs. So I would like to invite Kelly and Olga. Just Kelly, all right. Kelly Purdy, our Associate Coordinator of Career and College Pathways, is going to say a few words about our awardees.
Kelly! No. I know you.
And we'll shoulder in the other fingers. Is this on? I'll use my teacher voice, how about that? So part of my job is Career and College Pathways, and so Jocelyn and everyone in the panel, thank you for sharing your thoughts, especially regarding marketing and the opportunities for students. So I know that Brooke and I will be spending some time with our team helping develop our marketing programs and making sure everyone is more aware of the opportunities out there. The other part of my job is early learning. And so we've been working at opening preschools now for going on 3 years, I guess. And we've been building a plane as we've been flying it. And it's been an exciting, stressful, messy journey, but we've had the privilege of having a lot of community partners be a part of this process and supporting us. And one of the major community partners is Early Learning Washington County, so I'd like to have Evan come on up here. So Evan Weaver works for Early Learning Washington County and has been a steadfast partner in our work and has been a part of our Hillsboro Early Learning team for 3 years. Has been very supportive of our programs, has been helping us find resources, has just been instrumental in everything that we've been doing. So I'd just like to say thank you on behalf of the Hillsboro School District for all of your support and all of your help with our efforts with early learning. We couldn't do it without you, so. These water bottles that we are giving to our community partners were created by our manufacturing our students at Century High School. Look like for that CTE program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brian.
Oh, Brian.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, good morning. It's great to see everybody here. Love the energy in the room this morning. My name is Brian Petrick. I'm the Director of Extracurricular Services for the Hillsboro School District. I'm a former Eastwood Eagle. Started going to Hillsboro schools when I was a 4th grader, so it's just awesome to have my position here. Basically, my job is to try to create opportunities for kids and to get kids connected. When kids feel connected and affirmed, like we did for this group of kids just here, it really changes their whole outlook on their friendships with others, their school, their community. And so with that in mind, a couple of years ago, coming off of being the principal at Evergreen Middle School and into this new position, I was like, man, we need to do something for middle school kids. I feel like a lot of times our middle school kids kind of get left behind or forgotten. It's such a interesting transitional time in their lives. So we put together the Connect Camp. And when we started, we were like, this is going to be great. We're gonna serve all these kids, and then the reality hit. We have no budget. We have no one to drive buses. How can we do this? And so, in conversation with the Hillsboro Police Department and also with the Hillsboro Parks and Rec, we just combined our combined forces and put together a camp for kind of at-risk, low-income students that really need a shot in the arm entering into 8th grade. Our superintendent always says 8th grade is their last best chance to really get on the right path. And so working with counselors at all of our middle schools, we put on a camp for the last couple of years called the Hillsboro Connect Camp, and it's all about getting out into the community. There's no really classroom time. I thought Wesley said it great, kids want to do something. And middle school kids often have to sit in a seat so much throughout their time in middle school. So our Connect Camp is not in a classroom, it's out in the community. And it's community members that actually make it possible. So with that, I would like to bring up our SRO staff that does a lot of the heavy lifting at this camp. So if you were an SRO and you work the summer camp, if you could come up at this time and join me in the front, that would be great. I don't know, Officer Wilbur, Brian Wilbur, can you come up here too, please? I do want to thank also our Hillsboro Police Chief is here, Lou Dabrowski. There taking pictures of this crew. So one of the things I just want to say, one of the beauties of running a camp with the Hillsboro Police Department is that there are no behavior problems at camp. And there is no need for an administrator. So our camp that we put on for kids is highly energetic. They get to go around, have special access into not only the Hillsboro Police Department, but the fire department, and they go to a lot of other fun activities. They do a lot of teamwork stuff. We do training about consciousness and respect and dealing with others, and just try to give the kids a shot in the arm. The attendance of the camp is 100%, and it's 100% because they drive vans to go and pick up the kids at their site and drop them off in the afternoon at their home. The biggest feedback we get from kids at the camp is that they are upset that the camp is over. They always want it to go longer. And so it's a real testament to what these individuals do week after week at the camp. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and pass out some certificates here. And I want to start with Stephen Slade. Stephen's there in the middle. Stephen has been our point person running this camp. He does most of the organization of it. Really could not make it happen without Officer Slade. So Officer Slade, thank you so much.
I work out with that guy.
Can I say something? You better be recognized. Dow Tobin. Now this was a great connection. I was a teacher when she was at Glencoe High School. I knew her as Stephanie Block, and she came back and worked at camp this year, and I was like, gosh, she looks familiar. So I want to thank Stephanie Winters for her support. And famous here in the Hillsboro School District, especially at Evergreen Middle School, Mox Herman, who also does And then we want to thank the support for the sergeant of our SRO group, overseeing all of the SROs in Hillsboro that do a great job helping keep our kids safe. And that is Mr. Brian Wilbur. Thank you.
How you
use my teacher voice? No, wait. I'd like to also point out Detective Adela Rios, who's not here, and Detective Lisa Erickson. I know many of you in the room know who they are, but during the summer, they support HSD by working the HSD summer school program, which has grown year after year. I think it's important to recognize them, and then specifically to recognize Detective Tobin, because Detective Slade basically heads and runs those 2 weeks of camps. He also heads and runs 2 weeks of rocket camp, and Detective Victor Castro was the lead along with Stephanie Winter and Mox Herman for a whole nother week of drug enforcement, gang, youth connect kind of camp. And like Mr. Patrick says, all these camps are really based on taking these kiddos out into the community and getting a hold of them and making really positive connections so that as they get older and there are more negative influences in their life, they have some positive influences here at the police department and with HSD. So to them, really, I'd like to thank them.
Tighten up.
It's all you, man. Got the Batman suit. It's good. You guys stand fast, please.
Thank you guys so much. To do here, and these guys were talking to them as we were doing their presentation because they've become friends. He's an individual that's not hard to be a friend with. When I was at Evergreen Middle School, I would buy t-shirts, and I was tired of sending money to like Minnesota to buy t-shirts, and I wanted to find something that was local here. And one day I just looked up local like t-shirt makers, and this picture of this individual popped up. And it was kind of like a hokey website. It wasn't very good. I said, you know what, I'll give him a shot. And I went and visited the store. And it's this little hole-in-the-wall store off of Cornelius Pass. And I met the owner, Hussein Al-Bayadi. And he was this very energetic, all about making a difference in the world person. And so him and I immediately made a connection because he was so into youth. And his story is one that most of us could never even understand because he was a refugee during Iraq, during the first Gulf War. And his family was not friendly with Saddam Hussein. And so they were running for their lives, basically, and he spent much of his childhood in a tent with his family before being fortunate enough to come to the United States, where he graduated from Aloha High School. And so basically, I think after about maybe a month or two of knowing me, Hussein was like, wow, I wish I never would have met this guy, because this guy is trying to get me to be a guest speaker at all these schools, and now he's bringing kids into my shop for summer camps. But he has a wonderful story, so I'd like to welcome Hussein up here to be recognized for all
Thank you. Wow. Man, if I was half as cool as some of those kids were, I'd run for president. But since I wasn't born here, man, it's up to you guys to lucky. You know, Kanye thinks he can run for president. I know I can. Thank you guys for your community work. I mean, those people back there truly break down the barriers of what it means to have a relationship with our police force and our teachers and community. So I just get to make t-shirts and just create a little bit of excitement before all the good stuff that you guys get to do. So I'm so grateful to be in this community and to watch it grow with buildings and things and money. And I wish I was a billionaire so I could give more money and all those things. So thank you.
So that's it for me. I just want to say thank you to all the community people out there that step in to make it happen, because without their interest and resources, we would fall short in being able to provide the things that we do provide. So thank you very much.
All right, very good. Congratulations to all of our partners, and I'd also like to recognize the chief who's here. Lee, if you would wave. It is an unusual partnership to the extent that the city of Hillsboro engages with the Hillsboro School District, and I know that other communities would love to have that type of partnership. You saw just a sample of that today. Those just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what the city of Hillsboro engages with the district with. It's just absolutely amazing. So thank you for your many contributions to the school district and the community. We appreciate it so much. Also wanted to give you an opportunity to, are there any questions you had regarding the panel? We've still got some of the staff members here, or any comments that you'd like to make regarding the panel. We didn't really get a chance to do that.
Well, yeah, I want to share something. So my daughter Jocelyn, I want to let you know that she has a BD, and also she has the first very low level in autism. So for many years, I was just working so hard with her. Many turns, it was just sometimes frustrated, but I feel very, very, very lucky, very glad, because our work is just amazing, because I saw her and I feel very, very glad to her, because she was an IEP program, and now she's almost done, and she's gonna be graduated like a regular diploma. So I'm so very glad, and I just wanna share with you guys, and I'm so very glad about her. So.
Sometimes when I hear people talk about kids these days, about the decline of kids and youth, I'm sad that they don't get to see what we get to see. If you just take a look at the diversity represented on that council, not on the panel, not only in terms of the student body, but in terms of the interests that were reflected there, absolutely amazing, and a huge thanks to our staff who pull that together every year. And I know it's a generational thing. I can sometimes picture the cave people sitting around a fire, and one cave person says to the other cave person, kids these days, first fire, now the wheel. Just last week I saw hieroglyphics on the cave wall. Just society just going mad on us. I know it's a generational thing, but I truly wish that our community members could see everything that happens within the schools and within our youth. The fact that today we heard from kids that are willing to give up their summers, they're not only give up their summers for themselves, but to make a difference for other kids in our community, absolutely amazing. The fact that they are concerned about the underserved population within our community and working to make a difference there, and the fact that they are taking advantage of the opportunities that are available to them and planning for the future. So just absolutely amazing. And I know Lee wanted to make a comment as well. So Lee.
If I could just make a brief comment, because we've gotten the accolades today, and I'll tell you, all of these folks deserve it. The SROs, it's not just a job for the school resource officers. If you ask them, these kids are their kids. And they're very protective, defensive, and supportive of their kids. But I wanted to say thank you. Because we, as Mike said, we have an amazing opportunity and a relationship in Hillsboro with the district. And from a police perspective, we all watch the media. And this gives us an opportunity to have such a positive interaction with youth. And they get to learn that we're people too. And so for me, I see so much benefit to us. Because we get to say, here, we're people, and we care about you as individuals. And get the same back. And so it's really a two-way relationship. And just because I got a room full of people here, I'm going to take advantage of the opportunity and say thank you for the opportunity.
All right, we do have one more activity. I want to turn the microphone over to Brooke Nova, who's going to describe what's next.
Good morning, everyone. First I want to say, I've lived in Hillsboro since 1987. I did move here when I was 7, so I just need you guys to know that. But as Hillsboro has grown and now we're over 100,000 people, I think what's so amazing is the balance that we still have in the connectiveness that we have in Hillsboro and having that, I think, those interpersonal relationships as we continue to grow and expand and celebrate the beauty of Hillsboro. And with that, the voice that our community plays and how we interact with one another and build great partnerships is so crucial to the work that we do. So with that, we have table questions that we'd love for you to reflect on today, and then also we'll have some time as well for some share up. So I'll give you about 10 to 15 minutes to go over those questions. You will have to designate a recorder and a reporter as you do this. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that, go over the questions, and then share up. Thank you. Sharing one extraordinary comment, thought that came from your table discussion. You know, it's been wonderful today. We have such a large group. Thank you so much for all attending. So when we go around, if we could also keep that to a minimum, that would be great as well. And I'm going to start from the back and work our way forward. So I'll start with this table and then we'll work our way around.
Well, thank you for the opportunity for us all to come up here. To make it quick, one of our key takeaways for the community and the co-workers that we can take from here to back to the community, people we know. I think the biggest thing that we pulled out of this is the dark fiber, network. Say that. So I have no idea what it is. That's not true. Actually, what we're excited about that is the idea that it is creating interconnectivity between all the different schools, the district, and ultimately expanding out what I've learned from that. But what's cool about that is because that tied into the fact that we saw all these kids coming up here. It brought a community together. The kids that came up here talked about with Kaiser, a bunch of different places right there, where they ended up seeing community partners helping them out in order to reach out to other kids. And then we saw, because of that, it inspired those ones here to do something beyond what they normally would do, right? And allow them to reach back into the younger kids, creating, again, fostering the more community. With that, it brought up with our police department. I was personally, as well as the table here, surprised at how interactive that was, or that close relationship was. Well, thank you guys again for that opportunity right now, but that creates that tight community. And one of the things that we saw, or felt, was sort of missing, would be the fact of there are a lot of different programs out there. One of the kids even brought up there, how do I get the kids off the couch? How do we get them to know what all these idea programs are? And one thing we brought up as parents is, how do we find that information out there? So an idea that someone brought up is that there's a way to create a centralized data bank, so it's one application only. So the parent puts into, okay, here's my application, here's all my data. Somehow if we can co-locate all these different programs in that spot, and then you just highlight into there, that might help out for opportunities. That's what we had.
Great one. Thank you so much. That's a great one. Here we go.
Yes, I am the deliverer of the message today. One of the important aspects that we saw today was the City of Hillsboro and the Hillsboro School District is truly committed to the youth. And we've been so ever since I started here in 1989. We've participated in the Hillsboro School District and youth programs throughout the city. And so we're going to focus on safety. And I think that's what law enforcement does, is focus on safety. And we want to talk about the bond infrastructure and partnerships impacting the youth in our community. Truly, the bond infrastructure impacts communication abilities between public safety, both police and fire, within the buildings. Since 1989, we've struggled with communications in the school buildings themselves. So the opportunity for us to be able to communicate in a time of crisis if needed is critical for the safety of not only the students, but the staff in there. So that's our big takeaway, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so our key takeaway is definitely access to technology across the district, creating parity for teachers and students. But some of the things that we were having conversation around that specifically is just having the students share with us and very well, not just create or share an issue or a challenge, is actually providing the solutions. Some of the things that were said, reaching our parents. Well, here's why it's a challenge, but here's a way to do it where, maybe it is a one-on-one or trying to get more than one event doesn't cover all parents because of the time schedules. So it was nice to see that they're actually not only thinking about
what the challenges are, but they're telling us, if we just listen, they are telling us some of the solutions that could work.
I think that we were all inspired by the students that spoke today, and just that they were affected by their involvement leading these camps. So I thought that was very impressive. And we liked about the bond that's affecting not just every student, but the whole community through playgrounds and communications. And for me, the mounted projectors. So, thank you.
I guess the big takeaway that we understood was that small details really matter within schools, especially since, well, quite honestly, high schoolers get very excited with stickers. Imagine if we have some classes outside of our school to make it less cramped, because it's, at least for my school, it became a very big issue, especially since our freshman class doubled in size. And now it takes us a lot of time to get through the hallways without getting pushed into a different side of the school. I talk from experience.
I want to acknowledge State Representative Susan McLean came a little bit late, so I just wanted to acknowledge that she is here, also for a former colleague of mine at Glencoe, so it's always great to see you. So thank you for coming. Before I give the mic, I just wanted to acknowledge the centerpieces were also designed by students this morning from Community Transitions Program, and they just did a wonderful job. We really wanted to make sure that not only our awards, but what you see at your tables was all student-driven and student-designed, so I just wanted to highlight that as well. And I know a student's going to share thoughts at this table.
So our key takeaway is that we will provide a band practicing area and youth facilities, construction, and safety. To give an example, like I'm part of marching band, and marching in the parking lot is not fun. And especially when you're carrying like more than 50-pound instrument in your shoulder and marching backwards. Oh no.
One of the key points we took away is getting high school students involved with the younger kids. We found that it benefits both parties positively if we get just the older kids to talk to the younger kids. Like my friend Enoch said, we want more of those inspirations. We want more kids to say, I want to be like you. And I know me and my colleagues, we would love to inspire more kids.
I like to be up front. I know there's one direction to look in. Behind me. So one thing that we took away was also. One thing that we took away was all of the ways that the district is currently working and all their efforts to improve the ability of students to learn that are really going unnoticed. I know I definitely didn't know a lot of what's going on, especially with our elementary schools and the improvements that are happening in schools that aren't my own. And I think a lot of times we only know about what's going on directly in front of us. I really only knew about the improvements at Glencoe because, well, I go there. And so I think just making sure that there's awareness of what's happening in schools that aren't our own, and like recognizing the district for all the great things that they're doing.
This morning.
All right, so last but not least, we took a look at the question that said, what summer opportunities would you like to see your students have access to? And for a split second, we started to come up with some ideas, and then we realized that, today we got to listen from all these students, hear their inspiring ideas and their thoughts, and they're really the experts here. They're the ones, their parents are the ones that know what they really want and what they really need. So our discussion was around listening to them,
building on the opportunities, the programs that are existing, and really focusing on deepening those based on what the students have to say.
Thank you so much for your comments. I know we weren't able to get to all of the rich information that you discussed, so if you could leave your exit tickets this morning, if you have things written down, we'd love to collect that information and go through that, because that's how we learn and do better for our students in our community. The other opportunity that's coming up is November 7th is our Career and College Pathways Steering Committee meeting. If you received an invite, please, we'd love to see you. But if you didn't and you'd like to know more about the work we're doing in Career and College Pathways, if you could indicate that on the top of your exit ticket, we'll make sure that we get you an invite for that event coming up in the next couple weeks.
All right, I'd just like to close this out by thanking you for being here today. I hope that you were as touched by the students as I was, and the broad spectrum of students that we serve, as well as the programming that we try and initiate to meet the needs of our students. Thank you also for your partnership. Many of our partners were recognized here today. Others weren't. Know that you are all appreciated, and we really value your partnership. So thank you very much. We hope that you consider coming to our next summit, which will be in March. It will have a little different focus, but we'll get an invite out to you as well. Final thing is, on the way out the door, make sure you wish Janine Solomon a happy birthday. She's 60 today.